Tonight, Venezuela on the brink. The chaos in Caracas growing worse by the minute as a 24-hour nationwide strike against President Nicolas Maduro and his administration's plan to rewrite the Constitution without an official vote from the people is underway. So can they stop the socialist government from completely crippling the country and creating even more disparity? Right now, here to discuss, InterAmerican Solutions founder and CEO and Venezuelan American Leadership Council President Martin Rodil and Washington Examiner Editorial Director Hugo Gurdon. Good to see you both. Martin, I'll start with you. This is turning into a real mess, and Maduro doesn't have the charisma of Hugo Chavez to keep people at bay, and he certainly doesn't have a financial plan, and it's all catching up to him. When does he step down?
Well, it's exactly the description that you did. It's a very terrible situation where the country and the government who is controlling right now the situation is collapsing because the financials of the government are basically empty. The international reserve, the money on the central bank is low $10 billion today, which is really low for the government. Some people think already, some analysts, that the country is going to default by October this year, unable to pay the debts that have the bonds. And the situation in the country is really terrible. The people is in the street looking for food, medicine, and the situation is going out of control.
You know, it's sad to see, and Hugo, this was sort of a long time coming, if you would. I spent some time in Venezuela, in Caracas and the surrounding countryside there, trying my darndest to get an interview, by the way, with Hugo Chavez, who kept promising mañana, and got to talk to a lot of the people. He never came through, by the way, but got to talk to a lot of people at the time, and there was a very, splintered group there. Some loved him, a lot really hated him, but at least the one thing they had going for them at the time was sky-high oil prices, and this artificially propped up this regime, Hugo. Those artificially, or rather, that artificial propping up is no longer there. Oil prices, very different situations. So you're stuck with the reality of what socialism is for this country. And it's leading to all kinds of shortages. Walk us through the devastation that people are facing in the streets of Venezuela now.
People are facing poverty. They cannot buy the basic necessities of a civilized life. Now, this is an extraordinary thing for a country which has some of the biggest oil reserves in the world. As you say, when the oil prices were at $100 a barrel, they were in clover, but the price has more than halved since then, and they have, and as with many a socialist country, they're ruining the economy by taking it over in terms of the government taking it over. It's being nationalized. And this is essentially a criminal government as well.
It's a shame to see, right? Because they hold more in terms of oil reserves even than Saudi Arabia. I spent some time in the Orinoco region where they have these amazing oil reserves, but it's thick, heavy tar that needs the technology of foreign companies that can go in there and help them to refine all this stuff. Well, what did they do? They kicked all the foreign companies out. They repossessed their land. And they're left with nothing because they don't have the technology to refine the oil that's in the ground. I mean, this is just another example of this government going in, taking over businesses, and the people, Hugo, being left with nothing.
That's right. It's a socialist government and a criminal government in some ways. And the extraordinary thing about, of course, left-wing demagogic rhetoric is that it talks about being on the side of the people, but in fact it enriches the people at the top, and they hold power. As you said earlier, they're trying in 10 days from now, and the clock is ticking. They want to change the Constitution so that it entrenches the power of the people who are abusing and have been abusing this country for the past 20 years.
It's sad to see. Thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Thank you.
It's a very sad situation right now in Caracas.